The name of the game is saying no to anything our opponent wants to do. What's going on, guys? My name is Spellslinger, and welcome to the channel. Please hit the subscribe button if you are new. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers. Today, I am bringing with me to you guys an Eldlich deck profile, Traps the deck. This is I guess a deck, a very good control deck, probably the best control deck in the game right now. Eldlich is a trap zombie-based archetype, obviously, with the name of the game, you know, destroying, banishing, doing a whole bunch of things. Eldlich, of course, the main man himself, and then, of course, the continuous traps that special summon themselves out on the field and have secondary effects if Eldlich is on the field. We're just gonna get straight into this deck profile, and as we go along, if you see anything that you would change or have any suggestions yourself, feel free to comment them down in the comments. I'm gonna go over everything I can in as much detail as possible, and we'll just go ahead and get into it. And stick around for later into the video. We're gonna get into a couple replays just showcasing what Eldlich is capable of doing. So like I said, last reminder to hit the subscribe button if you do enjoy these types of deck profiles. I'll have an Adamancipator deck profile card pop up right in the top right hand corner right now, and we'll get into this Eldlich profile right now. So starting off with our hand trap lineup, of course, pretty standard 3 Max C, 3 Ash. Those are the only ones, the only sets of hand traps that we are playing. Let's get into the good stuff now. Obvious. Eldlich the Golden Lord. We are playing 3. Now in the TCG, I know that a lot of people are, when people play Eldlich, it's, mashed up with a couple different archetypes typically, but because we were playing a pure Eldlich, control deck, we're playing 3. We want to see this goofy dude as much as possible. If you don't know, we'll go ahead and, explain. So when you have this card in your hand, you can send Eldlich and one other spell or trap card in your hand to the graveyard, and then target a card on the field and send it to the graveyard. Now that's very important, specifically because it says send, not destroy, not banish, so it gets around cards that can't be destroyed by card effects, and stuff like that. It can even get around a boosted up Eldlich himself, because the next effect, if this card is in the graveyard, you can send a spell or trap that you control to the graveyard, add this card to your hand, and then special summon a zombie monster from your hand, and if you do, it gains 1,000 attack and defense and cannot be destroyed by card effects. So by its own effect, you can send you can send Eldlich and another spell and trap to the graveyard, and if your opponent is playing Eldlich and has a beefed up Eldlich, then you can send that Eldlich, specifically send, not destroy. So wording there is very important. When we're getting into, the nitty gritty of like mirror matches and cards that can't be destroyed specifically by card effects. So Eldlich itself is very good. You want to see it as much as possible, and we max out on that. We play it at 3. Next card, Pot of Extravagance. We only need 3 cards in our extra deck. All of these you don't need. You only need these 3 cards right here. 2 copies of the Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max, and 1 copy of the Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Juggernaut Lieb. All of these cards, they can be whatever. They don't have to be ultras. I only put them there because I'm trying to flex a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Don't worry about that. But all of these cards here from number 90 to the 5-headed dragon don't have to be anything. They are just fodder to banish off a Pot of Extravagance, so we can dig deeper into our deck for either engine pieces or more trap cards. Very important that you don't focus too heavily on what all of these monsters in the extra deck are. The only 3 that we really care about are these last 3 right here. So yeah, just Pot of Extravagance, banish 3 or 6 face down from your extra deck, draw one or and draw a card for every 3 banish. Super, it's good in basically in a deck like this where we don't really have to worry about our extra deck all that much. We play 2 of the Elixir of Black Awakening. Now, again, in the TCG, you don't really play this, and if you do, we play it at 1, maybe 2 if you're running a more pure variant like this, but special summon a zombie monster from your hand or deck in defense position, but if you control no Eldlich monsters, you can only special summon Eldlich monsters with this effect. That we're not really worrying about that because the only monster that we're going to be summoning off of this effect is Eldlich, because we want to open as many ways as we can to get get into this, because this is literally our only source of, you know, damage and getting over big monsters, things like that. You can only special summon zombie monsters for the rest of the turn, and then all of the Eldlichs and the Golden Land traps all have secondary effects when they're in the graveyard. So for Black Awakening, you can banish this card from your graveyard and specifically set a Golden Land spell or trap directly from the deck, and you can only use one per turn. The reason that it's important that it specifies set is because they can't ash this as if it was going to the hand. It sets directly into your spell and trap zones from the deck, which is very important. So banish this, and you can set a Golden Land spell or trap directly from the deck. So you would set your Hawk Arrow or the Conquistador, and we'll get into those in a little bit. But that is what your Eldlich or Black Awakening is doing for you there. Next, arguably the best card in the deck, Cursed Eldland. This gets your engine going with just one copy of Cursed Eldland. We'll get, you know, it's limited to 2. It's such a good card. You can't declare attacks with any you cannot declare attacks except with zombie monsters, and you can only use one of the following effects of Cursed Eldland per turn, and there's two following effects. So you can pay 800 life points and add an Eldlich monster or Golden Land spell and trap from your deck to your hand. Most of the time, if you don't open Eldlich, you're gonna activate this, pay the 800, and then add Eldlich to your hand. And then a really good combo that you can do with this with the next effect is that if this card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, you can send an Eldlich monster or a Golden Land spell and trap directly from the deck. So typically the combo with this is that you activate the Cursed Eldland, pay the 800, add Eldlich to your hand, activate the effect of the Eldlich, pitching, you know, a card or whatever out of your hand. And then once Eldlich is in the graveyard, you can activate the effect to send the Cursed Eldland to the graveyard to special summon out your Eldlich, and then the effect of Cursed Eldland triggers, and you can dump a spell and a Golden Land spell or trap to get more of your engine going. And we'll get into, of course, like I'm saying, we'll get into these effects in a little bit. But Cursed Eldland, such a good card, such a good card. After that, we're getting into the real good cards that say no. Like I was saying in the beginning, this deck just wants to say no to your opponent, and this is the lineup that I have decided to go with. Like I'm saying, if you have suggestions or things that you would run in place of cards that I have here, definitely let me know. I would love to hear from you on what your ideas are and things that you would like to do, the things that you would prefer to run instead of this. So just let me know. First things first, 3 Torrential Tribute. This card is a headache to deal with, especially if you're playing against a combo player. Super good if you're, when a monster is summoned, destroy all monsters on the field. Awesome. And especially if you have a beefed up Eldlich that can't be destroyed by card effects, then, you know, it's just a free board wipe on your opponent's side of the field, which is really nice. Eldlich of Scarlet Sanguine. It is basically the trap version of Eldlich of Black Awakening. It's just that, but in trap form. You can special summon a zombie monster direct from your deck or graveyard, but if you control no Eldlich monsters, you can only summon the Eldlich monsters for the you can only summon Eldlich monsters with the effect, and then for the rest of the turn, you can't special summon zombies. And then its graveyard effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard and set, again, very important that it says set, 1 Golden Land spell or trap directly from your deck, and you can only use that once per turn. So it's basically just this, but in a spell and trap form. And then the other difference being this says that you can special summon it from the hand, and then this is from graveyard. So little differences, but they more or less do the same thing, just ways to get into, see your Eldlich on the field so you can get into other plays. So we run 3 of the Eldlich of Scarlet Sanguine. Getting into some more traps that say no. Solemn Judgment. Since we don't have Lord of the Heavenly Prison, released into the game yet, we need to run Solemn Judgment to protect our back row, specifically from things like Duster and Lightning Storm, things along that lines. Going second cards that really just decimate our back row. So, of course, Solemn Judgment protects from that. When a monster would be summoned or a spell and trap is activated, pay half your life points, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that card. So we play 3 of these as insulation from those going second cards, and in a similar vein, we play 2 of the Solemn Strike. Now, I you could replace one Torrential Tribute for a third Solemn Strike. This version is just a little bit more budget. I was trying really hard to cut down on all of the, you know, super good, or not super good, but really expensive rares. And also, as you can tell, I'm running low on Ultra Dust. So don't, you know, don't hate on me too hard, okay? Anyway, so yeah, in the same vein, Solemn Strike, when a monster would be special summoned or a monster effect is activated, pay 15, negate the summon or activation, and if you do, destroy it. We just played 2 of them, it's really good. Imperial Order, can't play it in the TCG anymore, but we can play it in Master Duel because it is still at 1 here. Negate all spell effects on the field, and then you have to pay 700 life points during the standby phase, or this card is destroyed. So yeah, so we play this as just shutting off. It's one of the most unfair cards in the game. And in the same vein, Skill Drain is at 3. Why the TCG and this game thought it would be a good idea to put Skill Drain at 3 is absurd, and is this card right here that is probably the sole reason why Eldlich is so good right now, because we can play 3 Skill Drain and not have to worry about anything that our opponent does. It is just absolutely absurd. So we play 3 of this, pay 1,000 life points to activate, negate the effects of all face-up monsters on the field while they are face-up on the field. Their effects can still activate, but they'll be negated. It is such a bullshit card. It is so dumb, so overpowered. There's no maintenance cost for, you know, things like Imperial Orders, so it just stays up on the field and you don't have to worry about your life points dropping at all, because with this deck, there are a lot of cards that say pay life points. Cursed Eldland, both of the Solemn cards, Skill Drain, a lot of these cards have a life point requirement for you to pay for them to either activate or maintain. So Skill Drain only having that initial 1,000 life point cost can be just devastating. It's such a good card. You have to play 3 of this for in any Eldlich deck. 3 Goes in Match. The specific reason that we play Goes in Match is every main deck monster that you will summon, barring of course your hand traps, which you will probably never be summoning, are lights. Each player can only control 1 attribute of monster. Send all other face-up monsters they control to the graveyard. So Eldlich the Golden Lord, a light. The continuous traps that are also monsters summon themselves as lights. You literally can't go wrong with this deck. The 3 here are Earth, so you'll have to, if you end up wanting to do this, then an easy way for you to get around things like your Skill Drains and your Goes in Match is if you have an Eldlich in the graveyard, just activate the effect, send whatever is barring you from making plays to the graveyard, so you can go into your extra deck plays and activate their effects. But specifically Goes in Match here, we play these because we only play lights in our main deck, and Goes in Match can be a headache if you're playing against combo decks that rely on a lot of attributes. Things like Adamancipator even. They play a lot of different, in the extra deck, they play a lot of different attributes, Borreload, Union Carrier, Appaloosa. They're all different, there's a good variety of different attributes. So this can be really good for, going against combo decks and the like. So we play 3 of these for 3 of the Goes in Match for all of those reasons. Now, the last 6 main deck cards are the Golden Land traps, the Golden Land continuous traps. We have Hakero. You can special summon this card as a normal monster, a zombie light, level 5, attack 18, defense 15. And then if you control an Eldlich the Golden Lord, this dude right here, you get a DD Crow effect on your opponent's graveyard, and because it's a trap card, you can activate this on your turn, on your opponent's turn. Super good. So if your opponent is playing a deck that heavily relies on their graveyard to get their plays going, a Hakero is a great way of being able to disrupt what they're doing. It doesn't negate. It's still just a DD Crow. It doesn't negate the graveyard effect. So you'll have to be very careful about where you play this, but it's very good. And then, of course, the secondary effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard and then set an Eldlich or Spell or Trap directly from the deck. It's so broken that it says set and not add. It's awesome. So if it's on your opponent's turn, you can banish this from your graveyard and set an Eldlixir. So you can set like a Sanguine, you can set a Black Awakening, and then on your following turn, if you set the trap, then you can activate that effect and just get in for a bunch of damage if you already have an established board of like Skill Drain and whatnot. So you play 3 of these, and 3 of the Conquistador. Now, its effect, so it's 500 attack, 1800 defense, so you'll be summoning this in defense 99% of the time, and then this is the one that is super devastating to your opponent. When it's summoned, if you control Eldlich, you can destroy a face-up card on the field. Any face-up card on the field. Super good. If, again, your opponent is playing a deck, and is going to go into extra deck plays, and it needs a card to establish board presence, just activate this and destroy it. And because it's a trap, of course, you can activate it on their turn, which is great. So we run 3 of these, 3 of these, and 3 of the Hawk Arrow. And then the secondary effect is the same as the Hawk Arrow. You can banish it from the graveyard to set an Eldlixir spell or trap directly from the deck. And then the thing to note, though, the thing to keep in mind with these is that you can only use 1 effect per card per turn. So you can use both, obviously, but you can't use both effects of 1 card. So you couldn't summon itself, and then if it got into the graveyard, you wouldn't be able to banish it in the same turn. You would have to wait until the next turn to activate that. But you can do that on your opponent's turn because it is still a trap card. So obviously, keeping that in mind, you want to use your Cursed Eldland. You want to use the graveyard effects of everything you can to get as many different Golden Land and Eldlixirs and just like your Eldlich engine. You want to see as many different cards as possible so you can activate all of the effects as often as possible, if all of that makes sense. But the main deck is just geared towards saying no to your opponent. It's stupid, it's funny, it's infuriating to play against. I know I've played against it firsthand. I'm sure that you have too. And if you want a soft guideline to go against, it's all very just what you want to play. All of these trap cards are replaceable by other things. Like I was saying, if you want to cut down on Torrential, bump the strike up. If you want to cut the Gozen for, summon limit, if you want to do, you can do whatever the hell you want. This is just a guideline. Don't take my deck list as the end all be all to like the best. Obviously all of these titles, get you to click and listen to them. Obviously, I don't know what the hell I'm going to name this one, but it's going to be something super clickbaity saying, the absolute best Eldlich deck of all time, whatever the hell. You can absolutely swap in different cards and different traps geared towards what you want to play against. And especially because it's a best of 1 format, it's super, luck dependent and die dependent, but whatever the hell you want to do it. I don't give a fuck. Have fun with the game. Extra deck time. Like I'm saying, extra deck cards 1 through 12 do not matter. I'm just flexing a little bit with the ultra rares. Don't mind me, okay? The only 3 cards that matter here are the 2 copies of the Rail Cannon Gustav Max and the 1 copy of the Lieb. Now, we play 2 of these. We play 2 of the Lieb because with randomly banishing face down, we want to make sure that we still have at least 1 if we're activating the Pot of Extravagance. So what does this dude do? 2 level 10 monsters. What's the level of Eldlich? It's 10. So we overlay 2 Eldlich to go into this super late game. You can just detach and inflict 2,000 to your opponent. So if they're late game, if you're getting into a super grindy game, you can detach and just end the game. After that, if you need to go into even more damage, you can overlay into this, and it says 3 level 11s. Don't worry about that. You're able to just slap the Lieb on top of the Gustav Max. Once per turn, detach a material. It gains 2,000 attack and offense. And then for the rest of the turn, you can only declare an attack with Lieb, but during each battle phase, it can make attacks on monsters up to the number of materials that it has, +1. So if you do the full combo, you'll have 2 Eldlich on the Gustav Max. You'll detach 1 to do 2,000 damage, and then you'll slap the Lieb on top of it. Detach 1, so you'll have one material on it left, +1, so you'll have 2. It can make 2 attacks, I believe. I may have messed that up. If I'm doing the math wrong, let me know. Just going off it by kind of memory, whatever. But yeah, cards 1 through 12 do not matter. They can be literally whatever the hell you want. I saw some decks running the, what was it called? It's a Constellar card. It was running this dude, Constellar Pallades. So 2 level 5 light monsters, and it's the Hawk Arrow and the Conquistador are both level 5, so if you had 2 of these, then you could go into a Constellar Pallades, and then it's got a base 2500 attack, so it's nothing to scoff at, definitely. I think I would definitely play this over a just a random one of these, so pardon me, I think I will go back on that, but I'm out of the ultra rare points, so don't worry about that. All of the replays that I have saved don't have the Constellar Pallades, so don't worry about that, but looking at Pallades now, it's a really good card. So 2 level lights, which are going to be these guys right here, the Hawk Arrow and the Conquistador. And then once return quick effect, you can detach a material from this card and target 1 card on the field, return it to the hand. So that is good. It's non-targeting, or it is targeting. It's targeting removal, but not destruction. It's just a bounce back, which is cool. So definitely, if you wanted to spend the more ultra points, definitely run that. But as far as, you know, what I have currently, we're not going to be worrying about that. Just definitely something to keep in mind, to not, you know, to not, I guess going into the future would be the best way to look at that. But that is the deck. This is Know the deck. Trap the deck, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't care. We'll jump into some replays, but I hope this has been helpful for you. Give me some feedback on what you think about the deck. Give me some feedback on what you yourself would run. I would love to hear what you would like to run. I love, you know, feedback and just everything. Give me all the hate, all the constructive criticism, whatever the hell, and I'll see you in just a sec with the replays. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We will jump to the replays now. Alright, so jumping into this replay illustrates perfectly I guess the ideal way that you would want to play this deck. I'll stop and go as we go and kind of explain what my thinking was for all of this, because there were definitely different avenues that you could take, especially with my opening turn. It ended up playing out pretty good, but there's a lot of different things that you can do here. So we opened up gold Eldlich and Cursed Eldland, which is really good. We also opened a Hawk Arrow and two trap interruptions, but we'll go ahead and get into the replay now. So this is what I end up doing. I activate Cursed Eldland, I pay the 800 to add a second copy of Eldlich. From here, I activated the effect of Eldlich, sending it and a Hawk Arrow, sending Cursed Eldland, activating the effect of Cursed Eldland, and we sent a copy of Conquistador. Now, remember what I was saying in the deck profile. We want to see as many different Golden Land names in the graveyard as possible, because we can't activate multiple effects of the same card per turn, especially with these Golden Lands trap cards. So we have a Hawk Arrow and we have a Conquistador. Now, I chose not to summon out Eldlich because we would have had to send another face-up spell or trap to the graveyard to get it out. Now, alternatively, also what you could have done, instead of getting another copy of Eldlich, you could have sent added a copy of Hawk Arrow or a copy of another copy of Conquistador to set as fodder to summon out Eldlich in the graveyard, but I chose not to do that. And then once we go into the end phase, we activate the effect of Hawk Arrow, setting an Eldlixir, so now we have an opportunity to get Eldlich onto the field during our opponent's turn if we need to. So we are playing, our opponent is playing Blue Eyes, so they activate the effect of Melody, adding a copy of Alternative and a copy of the Chaos Dragon Levianeer. They sent a Whitestone of Ancients, also Royal Rare, that's cool. Activate the effect of Sage, adding another stone. They're going to reveal Blue Eyes White Dragon, summoning out Alt, and here is where I know where they're going to be going with this. So if we allow them to play further, they're going to synchro into the, I believe it's the Spirit Dragon, which can tag out and protect all dragons from destruction. So to not allow them to do this, we flip the Torrential Tribute here. to destroy all their monsters, so they cannot get into their plays, into that synchro play to protect their dragons. So after that, they summon out the Chaos Dragon by banishing three lights, which means that they can summon special summon one monster from their graveyard in defense position. The only thing to note here, even if they did or were allowed to get that off, even though they don't have anything in the graveyard, they were just trying to get a body. But if they did have a way to get another tuner, they would still be able to go into that synchro play. So we activate the Gozen match as soon as Levianeer comes down to cut them off of that, because all of those tuners that they have are all lights, and Chaos Dragon Levianeer is of course a dark, so they are now cut off of the majority of their deck now. They only have the Levianeer. So from here, what we're gonna do, what they do, they go ahead and attack. We elected to not use the Sanguine to protect our life points, and I'll get into that in just a second, and you'll see why. But now what we can do, during the end phase, we activate the effect of the Sanguine and we chain the Conquistador. Conquistador will get its effect to set another copy of the Scarlet Sanguine from deck. Then we get the effect of the Scarlet Sanguine to summon out a copy of Eldlich to our field on their turn during the end phase. So next turn, this Sanguine is live if we want to activate it. Our turn going in, we draw the Hawk Arrow, we activate the effect of Eldlich, sending the Gozen match, and you'll see why in just a minute. They flip True Light, and they're chaining that to our Eldlich. They activate the effect of True Light. They summon out a Blue Eyes, so now they have 2 8s, but it's still our turn, so we're going to resolve the effect of the Eldlich, summoning out another copy of Eldlich here. We flip this to attack. We are going to send Eldlich and the Hawk Arrow that we drew for turn, and send their True Light. Now, if you read True Light, and if you are familiar with Blue Eyes, you'll know what's happening now. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you destroy all monsters you control, and that's exactly what happens. Both of their monsters are destroyed, and we have a beefed up Eldlich and a regular Eldlich, and that brings their life points down to exactly 2,000. It could not have been written better if I tried. So now we go into main phase 2, overlay for the Gustav Max. Such a cool animation. Overlay into the Gustav match, detach, and do exactly game. This was such a perfect replay to illustrate just how good just how good Eldlich can be if you use it properly. There were so many different avenues that you could have taken that it wouldn't, it could have turned out so many different ways. This replay just shows that if you know what your opponent's playing and you know what to anticipate and you cut them off at the exact right times, you will be able to interrupt and do whatever you want. Just doing whatever plays. The important thing to remember is that while these decks are Monkey Flip decks, you have to understand and read your opponent's cards to know when to activate these effects at the right time. And me knowing what Blue Eyes was going to do, I was able to cut them off at the right times to disrupt their plays and get in for exactly game. This game, it was good. This replay was just perfect to illustrate what this deck can do if you are knowledgeable about what they're playing, and if you're not, just read their cards. Literally just read their cards. That's all you have to do. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope that I have been able to be informative for you and bring something else to the table that not a lot of other people can. If you did enjoy, please hit the subscribe button. Check out my Adamancipator deck profile I posted, I think, about a week ago, a little less than maybe. Go check that out. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. I will see you guys very soon with more content. We are currently doing a free-to-play series with 10E. We're going from rookie all the way to plat 1. We're having a ton of fun with that as well, so check that out. That is on the channel, and we will see you with more deck profiles, more content, more whatever the hell I decide to put out, or what you guys want me to put out. So let me know what you want to see, and I will see you guys very soon with more content, more Master Duel content. Have a fantastic day, you guys.